Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Run in the Paint recap. Today is Wednesday, December 4th, coming off of the final day of, the group stage of the 2024 Emirates NBA Cup. And my, oh my, there was a ton of stuff going on around the league tonight. We have our 4 matchups determined for the quarterfinal stages that will occur next week for the NBA Cup. And obviously, all these games count for regular season records and all that as well. So a lot of important games that happened last night. Excited to get into it with all you guys here today. First, before we get started, as I always tell you guys, check in the description down below. You guys can skip forward to whichever team, whichever game you want to hear me talk about. And there certainly is a lot to get to here today. So first, let's get into it with the Denver Nuggets and the Golden State Warriors. Man, this is a game that really didn't have much cup implications heading into this game because Golden State had already clinched their group. Denver was kind of out of the running in the wild card in the Western Conference, but it was an important game for both teams. Golden State coming into this game had lost 4 games in a row, and Denver 5-5 in their last 10, just trying to find that consistency. And Denver, thanks to a great comeback late in the fourth quarter, stole this one from the Warriors, 119-115. This was a crazy fourth quarter in this one. Golden State was without Draymond Green in this game, so we got to see a lot of Kevon Looney matched up on Nikola Jokic. They tried some Trace Jackson-Davis, even going small there at the end of the game when they had to, when Looney fouled out Jonathan Kuminga, Andrew Wiggins. And Golden State, they played a very decent game defensively and offensively without Draymond Green there. And they had themselves a 12-point lead in the first half, but then a double-digit lead again in the fourth quarter. It was almost a kind of a tale of two halves, but the same thing kind of happened in each half. It would start out with the Nuggets going on, a nice little run. Then the Warriors would come back, take a double-digit lead, and then the Nuggets would make another run to make it back into a close game. And the same thing happened in the second half, except Denver came all the way back and won this game. Trying to see exactly what it was. Yeah, Golden State had an 11-point advantage with 6 minutes remaining. Then Michael Porter got a couple huge shots. First a dunk, then a 3-point shot off of a missed three-pointer by Brandon Pajemski. Then, man, it was Nikola Jokic taking over. He absolutely took over this game. He was unbelievable in this one. Finished with 38 points. It was unbelievable. I mean, they were even saying it on the broadcast, Stan Van Gundy, how the level that he's playing at right now, we kind of are taking it for granted a little bit. He's just putting up these incredible numbers, and it's just like, man, 38 points. All right, that's crazy. But 10 rebounds, 6 assists, that's a little bit below your season average right there. But this is still an incredible game, was amazingly efficient from the field. Michael Porter was good. Aaron Gordon in his first couple games back after missing a bunch with the injury. Good to see him back in the lineup there. But, yeah, man, it was a crazy finish in this game. In the fourth quarter, first, the big storyline in the fourth quarter that really could have cost the Denver Nuggets potentially in this game was the fact that they had to use all of their timeouts to where they didn't have any timeouts in the final 4 minutes. They didn't have any timeouts remaining in the final 4 minutes of the game when they were already down by 6 to 8 points. So it was a huge stretch for them to just go through without any timeouts really being called besides Golden State. And the Nuggets, man, when they get into these late game situations, we've seen it all season long. We've seen it for the last few years. They may have some depth problems. Not even depth problems. Well, the problems that we've seen this season have been the inconsistencies from Jamal Murray that we've seen. Michael Porter sometimes having some off games. And for that reason, the Nuggets have been in a ton of close games. And the Nuggets just know what to do in the clutch every game. It's usually a Murray-Jokic pick and roll, give Jokic the ball in the post, and he's going to make the right play. And that's why they've been able to come out on the high side of so many of these clutch scenarios. Nikola Jokic made a couple big shots, made a couple nice passes to cutters going inside, whether it was Michael Porter or Aaron Gordon. In the final minute, the Warriors had the ball. The Nuggets went up by 2. Aaron Gordon made a couple of free throws. Golden State had the ball, and they were just like, okay, all right. As long as it's not Steph Curry, we're going to be cool with it. Even though Steph Curry had a bad shooting game in this one, it was because of Denver's great defense. But, that's all flushed away when you get into the final minute of a game with Steph Curry. He's going to be cool with firing away from anywhere. We all know that. So they just didn't want the ball in his hands. So it went to Andrew Wiggins, who made a drive at Russell Westbrook. And there was a wet spot on the court on the right side of the floor. And Wiggins fell down, turned the ball over. Nuggets make a couple free throws. They go up by 4. Golden State gets the ball back. And after a missed 3-point attempt by Moses Moody with about 7 seconds to go, ball gets loose. A crazy athletic rebound by Christian Braun, falls on the floor with the basketball, and he was incredible. He was calling a timeout. You could see it on the instant replay. He was calling a timeout that obviously the Nuggets did not have, but the officials just called a jump ball. They said that Christian Braun was calling for it after they determined the jump ball should have been called. So Steve Kerr went ballistic. He went crazy on this, and Denver goes on to win this game because by the time the jump ball was called, there was only 1 second remaining. So very interested to see what happens in the last 2-minute report, with Christian Braun. Because you think there, if Christian Braun gets called for a technical foul, Golden State, they'll send Steph Curry to the free throw line to cut it to 3, and then the Warriors would get the ball back with a second to go down by 3. You could get a very good shot up to try to tie the game and force overtime. But instead, referees call a jump ball, and the Denver Nuggets win by 4. And the Golden State Warriors lose their 5th game in a row, man. After their incredibly hot start, they are now just 12-8 on the season after this 5-game losing streak, and are now just a half game above Denver in the standings in the Western Conference. So crazy how the Warriors, through these first 20 games that they've played, first 10 were amazing. They were at the top of the conference. These last few just not that great. But definitely can turn it around very quickly. Obviously, this game didn't mean as much for them in the NBA Cup, but for sure they were looking to bounce back. But overall, Denver, an impressive victory and an impressive comeback down their late. But, of course, it was Nikola Jokic that was doing a lot of things for them down the stretch. Next matchup, let's see here. We got so much to go to. Let's go to the first national game. Now, we'll go to the Eastern Conference here, a game that really did matter for the NBA Cup between the Orlando Magic and the New York Knicks, two of the best teams in the Eastern Conference going at it. And the winner of this game was going to win East Group A, was going to win their group. And, New York Knicks just came out and completely dominated this game after a rough start in the first few minutes. They completely dominated this game. The final score, not indicative of how dominant this was. The Knicks beat the Magic 121-106. And my goodness, man, the Knicks kind of shredded that elite Magic defense. The Magic have been playing such great basketball, especially on the defensive end. It was led with their defense, what they've been able to do over the last few weeks. But in this game, wasn't able to really get going. Franz Wagner still had a very good high-scoring game. He had 30 points and 6 assists on decent efficiency. But the Knicks' mindset in this game was, all right, Franz Wagner, we know you're really great. We know you're really great right now. Can anyone else score for you guys? Because that's kind of been the thing with the Magic since Paolo Banchero went out with injury. Franz Wagner has been playing great. Jalen Suggs has been, very good. He stepped up in that kind of secondary scoring role. But a lot of their guys have been question marks. They haven't really gotten a third consistent score, and the Knicks took advantage of that. When you look outside of Franz Wagner, just even the shot distribution, like Wendell Carter only was able to play 19 minutes in this game with 2 points. They had Tristan Da Silva, the rookie, starting in there, KCP, and Jalen Suggs, who went 0 for 8 from 3, 5 for 16 from the field. The Magic, as a team, shot 23% from 3. They turned it over 15 times. But really, for the New York Knicks, it was their offense, man. It was their offense that went crazy. Everyone that played in the rotation, which knowing Tibbs is like 6 players, had a great game. Josh Hart had a triple-double. Karl Anthony Towns had some monster plays in the first half, finished with 23 points and 15 rebounds. And some highlight plays there. We saw second straight competitive game over the last few days in the NBA where we had some competitive fun trash talking between Karl-Anthony Towns and Mo Wagner. They were going back and forth at it there in the second quarter, which is always nice and fun. Mo Wagner had a good game himself, 20 points and 12 rebounds for him off the bench. But for the Knicks, just a total team performance. Mikal Bridges was great. Jalen Brunson had a good offensive game. And that Mikal Bridges, him having 19 points on 8 of 13 shooting is huge. And the defense looked great, which is obviously important for Mikal Bridges because that's something that I think has disappointed some Knicks fans so far this season has, how he hasn't really been as great of a defender so far with the Knicks, as advertised. We know him to be, such a great defensive player. Hadn't really been that much of the case here, but yeah, man, the Knicks led this game by as many as 37. They went on an 11-0 run near the end of the first quarter. I mean, that was the thing. The Magic were playing the Knicks tough in the first quarter until we got to the final minute. Then the Knicks just went on a run. They were getting so many plays in transition, and that was really the game, man. That was really the game. And the Knicks able to take Group A and knock off the Orlando Magic. So a very impressive victory for them. A rare loss for the Magic in this stretch. They have been playing such great basketball as of late, but definitely a huge victory for the New York Knicks. And you could say a little bit of a statement when being like, all right, Orlando, we know you're playing great. We're still here. We're still the New York Knicks, and we can clamp down defensively when we need to, excuse me. So that was definitely an impressive victory, and the Knicks, again, advancing in the group. Some other games. Let's go to another close one in the Eastern Conference. The Philadelphia 76ers pull out a much-needed victory against the Charlotte Hornets, 110-104. Sixers had a double-digit lead in the fourth quarter of this one, led by 14 or 16 points in the fourth quarter. But Brandon Miller, my goodness, went on a ridiculous run. I don't even know how many points he had in the fourth quarter. I got to find that. But he just went ridiculously crazy from downtown in the fourth quarter. Hit 7 of 16 threes in the game. In the fourth quarter, had 4 of the 7 threes, had 12 points in that quarter, and brought the Hornets back and even gave them the lead after trailing for most of the game. But unfortunately for the Hornets, Tyrese Maxey, man, down the stretch had struggled shooting from the floor, but did not stop him from being aggressive, taking it to the basket. When this game was tied with under a minute to go, Tyrese Maxey drove to the basket. I believe the ball was knocked out of bounds. But when the Sixers got the ball back again, drove to the basket again and got a wonderful scoop layup shot. That was a nice shot by Tyrese Maxey. And even the Hornets broadcaster was saying, and I couldn't agree more, like a lot of star players in those scenarios, they're just going to settle for a step back three or some type of jump shot. Tyrese Maxey was like, no, man, I'm going to take it to the rim, back-to-back plays. And that play gave the Sixers the victory. At the other end, the Hornets gave it to Brandon Miller, and he went inside for a floating shot, and he just threw it too long. He had a chance to maybe take another three, but decided to drive it and threw up a floater that was way too strong. But overall, just a good win for the Sixers and one that they definitely needed. And a great sign for the Sixers was Paul George. My goodness, he looked great in this game. He finally looked like, his normal self. He had 29 points, 8 assists, and man, those points were silky smooth. It was fun seeing Paul George and Brandon Miller both go at it because, Brandon Miller was such a big fan of Paul George growing up, and you can see in Brandon Miller's game, like, he looks a lot like Paul George with the way he plays on the offensive end, the energy that he can bring on the defensive end, that leadership. But offensively, the shots that both Miller and George were making were very similar plays, pull-up threes in the pick and roll, floaters, driving to the basket, some isolation jump shots. It was just really fun to see, those two guys go at it. No LaMelo Ball or Miles Bridges in this game, so Brandon Miller did a great job at leading the Hornets, but not enough for the victory. Nick Richards poured in 22 points and 14 rebounds in this one, and also good to see Mark Williams play his first game of the season. Usually their starting center, cornerstone for them, supposed to be their starting center of the future, but he's been so injury prone. Haven't really got a chance to see him yet until last night. So Mark Williams back on the court. The Sixers get the victory over the Hornets. Next game here, the Toronto Raptors defeat the Indiana Pacers 122-111. The Pacers, incredibly, don't win a game in the NBA Cup after going all the way to the NBA Cup championship game last season. The Raptors, obviously, has been a rough season for them so far, but they have been getting great performances from their key guys really all season long. Scotty Barnes had maybe his best game of the season, 35 points, 9 assists, 6 rebounds on great efficiency. Jakob Poeltl, another great one. RJ Barrett has been really good as well. But the Pacers, big thing for the Pacers, although they lose this game, Tyrese Halliburton finally shows up on the road. That's been something that has been really perplexing with him this season. And he's obviously had a rough year. But in this game, goes for 36 assists, 10 of 16 from the field, 4 for 9 from 3. And definitely key for him to get going, especially on the road, because that's a place where the Pacers have struggled a lot so far. And obviously losing this game. But, yeah, they're now 2-10 on the road. Obviously one of the worst road records in the NBA, and a big reason why they're 9-13 on the season, because they've been taking care of business at home, 7-3, one of the better home records. They just played more road games, and it hasn't really panned out at all for them. But for the Pacers, just good for them that Tyrese Halliburton finally had a good, efficient game on the road. But just got to start to try to stack up some wins, man. Second time, I believe, that they've lost to the Toronto Raptors this season. So Raptors, good couple wins against the Pacers this season. Next game, the Milwaukee Bucks went into Detroit. High-scoring game for them against a tough, gritty defensive Pistons team. The Bucks, led by Giannis and Damian Lillard, having another great game for those two, win it 128-107 to clinch their group as well as the entire Eastern Conference, or at least the number one seed in the quarterfinal round. Giannis and Damian Lillard combined for 55 points in this one. Played just spectacular. I mean, Giannis goes 10 for 11 from the field. Got some good play from Gary Trent Jr. off the bench, 16 points. He's a guy that I personally was expecting a lot out of this season. Hasn't really been that great. But Doc Rivers, these last few games, has switched up his rotations and lineups a little bit, and it's worked. It's definitely worked, and they've obviously played a much better schedule, or an easier schedule than the first 10 games when they had to play the Knicks and the Celtics twice, the Cavaliers twice. But the Bucks, over their last 10 games now, 9-1, their 7th straight victory. They're definitely creeping back up, man. And this team, with Giannis and Damian Lillard playing like this, only gonna get scarier and scarier, I think, as they get better and get deeper into the season. So the Bucks get the victory over the Pistons. And then the final game in the Eastern Conference, the Cleveland Cavaliers defeat the Washington Wizards 118-87. Wizards lose another one. This is their 15th straight loss. Really, only thing to note on the Cavs side of things is that in the third quarter, Jonas Valanciunas from the Wizards gave a couple shots, accidental shots to Darius Garland and Donovan Mitchell. Darius Garland in the head, Donovan Mitchell with his arm. I think both those guys will be fine going forward. Not intentional on Valanciunas' part there, but unfortunate that something like that would happen in a game against the Wizards, for the Cavaliers. But the Cavs, steamroll their way to a 31-point victory, now 19-3 on the season, and now 12-1 at home. They continue to just take care of business, man. Very professional victory for them, because there have been some games earlier this season where, although they would win them, against teams that they should be, would definitely take a little bit for them to kind of gain control fully. Not really in this one. I mean, they played great defense this whole game and defeat the Wizards by 31 points. In the Western Conference, another crazy game in the West. The Dallas Mavericks and Memphis Grizzlies. Now, similar to the Golden State-Denver game, Memphis had a lead late in this game, but the Dallas Mavericks, who must have heard from a little birdie that they needed to win this game by 4 points, at least heading into this one, started to just completely turn up. They were down by 15 points in the fourth quarter. Then they just completely went on a crazy run. Luka Doncic went crazy to try to get the Mavericks back into this. But their last 3 3-pointers to seal the game were 2 from Spencer Dinwiddie and 1 by P.J. Washington, 2 of their key role players. And the Mavericks win at 121-116. Luka Doncic was incredible in this game. Finally, a performance where he puts up high numbers, and it actually feels like an MVP-like performance at 37 points and 12 rebounds in this game. The thing that I'm sure most people are going to be talking about from this game was the incredible free throw disparity in this game. The Mavericks in the fourth quarter alone, this was one of the big keys on why they were able to get back into the game. They played great defense. They made shots, but they got themselves into the bonus with like nearly 8 minutes left in the fourth quarter. They got into the bonus like 4.5 minutes in to the fourth quarter. So they just kept drawing fouls, and the Mavericks took 26 free throws in the fourth quarter. They took 26 free throws in the fourth quarter. Absolutely unbelievable. For the game, what was it? 44-14. The Mavericks shot 30 more free throws than the Grizzlies. So I'm sure that the Grizzlies are not happy about that. Taylor Jenkins was talking about it in the post-game interview. But at the end of the day, man, I think the Mavericks really did deserve this victory. The Grizzlies, and really Marcus Smart, funny enough, Marcus Smart did not make smart plays in the fourth quarter, committed a couple dumb fouls. There was a play, it was tough luck. Luka was on a pick and roll on one of the, I think, Spencer Dinwiddie or P.J. Washington threes. Luka in pick and roll action hit Marcus Smart in the face, may have elbowed him a little bit. There was no foul call, but Marcus Smart was grabbing his face, and no one was guarding. I think it was P.J. Washington. No one was guarding him on the right wing, and he was just wide open, and that was the three that sealed the deal, man. So the Grizzlies, their winning streak comes to an end. I believe it was 5 games in a row that they had won. They've been playing some great basketball. But Dallas, the other end, they win their 5th in a row, and they have now jumped up to an even record with the Grizzlies at 14-8. So this was definitely a fun one to watch. Always fun when Ja Morant and Luka Doncic are going at it, because Ja had a great game in this one, 31 points, 11 for 22 from the field. Desmond Bane, finally an efficient game. He's been pretty rough to start the season, to say the least. But some key plays from Derek Lively, some key offensive rebounds late in the game. But it was really Spencer Dinwiddie and P.J. Washington, those two key role player guys hitting from the outside that allowed the Mavericks to kind of pull away at the end of this one and get the 5-point victory to seal their spot in the wild card as the wild card for the Western Conference. 3 more games to go here in the Western Conference. The Sacramento Kings defeated the Houston Rockets 120-111. So the Kings snapped the Rockets, run there. They've won their last few games. They've obviously been playing some great basketball. But the big thing in this game for the Sacramento Kings that really opened up the game for them after a pretty tight and contested first half was a stretch between the end of the second quarter and the first, part of the third quarter, where Sacramento made 15 shots in a row, 15 consecutive shots. I still can't believe that happened. 15 made shots in a row for the Sacramento Kings against a great Houston Rockets defense. And that really allowed the Kings to just get going. It was shots from the inside, from Sabonis getting layups and floaters, and Keegan Murray hitting some key corner 3-point shots off of nice ball movement there for the Kings. They finally decided to change some things in their starting lineup. Malik Monk finally back getting some big minutes, and they decided to start him. So they decided to start their 5 best players, Fox, Monk, DeRozan, Murray, and Sabonis, and all of them played great together. They all had great games. DeRozan didn't shoot the ball the best, but they all just played really well together. So we'll see if maybe that's the lineup that Mike Brown is going to have to play moving forward. But the Kings, with that run there, were able to hold off the Houston Rockets, and Jalen Green, who stepped up and had a big offensive game in this one. Şengün, another good one. But not enough there for the Rockets, as none of their other guys really got it going efficiently from the field. Ironically, it's kind of interesting considering Jalen Green and Şengün at sometimes have been pretty inefficient and the other guys have been for the most part other way around, and Kings able to get the victory. And obviously, if you make 15 shots in a row, you're most likely going to win the game. I wonder if it's ever happened before where a team that made 15 shots in a row ended up losing the game. I don't even know. That'd be incredible. But the final game that happened from last night, the LA Clippers defeated the Portland Trailblazers 127-105. Norman Powell with 30 points, James Harden 23 and 7 as they take care of business against the Portland Trailblazers. So there's a look at all the NBA Cup games from last night. And now that all of the, group stage games are completed in the NBA Cup, we now have the matchup set for the quarterfinal that will take place next week. So it was the top team, from the three groups in each conference, then the wild card from each conference, which came down to tiebreakers and the point differential. So we're set up for some fun matchups here next week. We can already start to look ahead to them starting next Tuesday, December 10th on TNT at 7 o'clock. It's going to be the Orlando Magic facing the Milwaukee Bucks, as the Bucks finished as the number one team in the East, and the Orlando Magic finished as the wild card. Even though they lost to the Knicks, their point differential was so high that the Magic ended up finishing as the wild card. And then the Western Conference 4-1 matchup is the Dallas Mavericks and the OKC Thunder, a playoff rematch from last season. I cannot wait for this game next Tuesday. And then going ahead to Wednesday, this first game on ESPN, I'll tell you what, this is going to be a drama-filled game, as Trae Young and the Atlanta Hawks somehow won this group with the Cavs and Celtics in it, and they will take on Jalen Brunson, Karl-Anthony Towns, and the New York Knicks. Trae Young back in New York for a shot at going to Las Vegas. That's definitely going to be theater. Cannot wait for that game and see how the Knicks fans treat Trae Young at this game. And then the nightcap, the other 3-2 matchup, the Golden State Warriors visiting the Houston Rockets, the Rockets hosting an NBA Cup quarterfinal game on TNT. Cannot wait for this one as well. We just have 4 really solid matchups. But Golden State at Houston, that is certainly going to be a lot of fun. So that's going to be the schedule starting next Tuesday and Wednesday for the NBA Cup quarterfinal rounds. The winners of all those games will then go to Las Vegas to play in the I think the week after, if I'm not mistaken. Not totally sure. I haven't looked that far yet. But now that we've gotten over all the NBA Cup games and the upcoming NBA Cup games for next week, let's take a look at the MVP of the night from so many games. I decided to give it to the Joker for his performance in the fourth quarter and just his dominance. 38 points, 10 rebounds, 6 assists, 5 steals. The efficiency was there. And, led the Nuggets to a come-from-behind victory against the Golden State Warriors. So definitely a huge victory for Denver and for Nikola Jokic having another MVP performance. And then finally, before we get out of here, let's take a look at tonight's schedule of games. 4 games on League Pass. Magic Sixers, that could be a fun game in Philadelphia. They're the Sixers looking for back-to-back victories. We'll see if Paul George ends up playing in that one. And then the NBA TV games going on tonight. The Lakers will make the lone trip of the season to Miami. LeBron James back in South Beach to take on the Heat. That one at 7:30 on NBA TV. And then at 10:30 p.m., the Minnesota Timberwolves will visit the LA Clippers. So there's a look at tonight's action. That is it for the recap. If you guys did enjoy, leave a like, subscribe for more NBA content. Leave a comment with your thoughts on all these games and if these final 4 teams in the NBA Cup kind of played out how you expected. Kind of crazy what we got here, especially the Hawks. And the Hawks definitely the biggest shocker. Even the Rockets. I mean, the Rockets played very well in the Cup or in the in-season tournament last year, but now getting to host a game, that's certainly going to be fun there. But again, thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and I'll catch you in the next one.